to my home far away, where His glory forever I'll share. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. John 12. And afterwards, please, let's put back the hymnal. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. There's an FX, please. Tem que tirar o efeito do FX. There they made him a supper. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at table with him. Mary took a pound of costly ointment of pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the ointment. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, he who was to betray him, said, "Why was the ointment not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor?" This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief. And as he had money boxed, he used to take what was put into it. But Jesus said, "Let her alone. Let her keep it for the day of my burial. The poor you always will have, but you do not always have me." Amen?
Amen.
Can you put please the hymn? My brothers, this passage is a very touching passage because it shows that this moment that we're having and the power which God is going to use in your life will depend on the perspective, will depend on the credibility, will depend on how much you are depositing on Jesus' faith and God's faith every single day, my brothers. And this hymnal is also beautiful. I decided to bring this hymnal because it talks about the old rugged cross. And the old rugged cross already showed us that is something that is from this world. If we look with the earthly vision and the earthly perspective, it is something old, something that is despised by the world, as we can see that the cross was despised by the world. But us, we that are having this opportunity here tonight, we have the opportunity to behave differently from the world. And why the world despise this old cross? Why the world despise this cross? Because it's old and rugged. It has no value if you look with your earthly eyes. And that is why people don't recognize and they don't live the power of God, because their perspective is what is causing the barrier, the blockage that is separating them from seeing and living and feeling the presence of God. And this was written by a person. It is a prayer that we are now praying, that we are now singing, and we are affirming, we are proclaiming that we will cherish the old rugged cross. And if we do so, if we obey and we cherish this old cross, one day we're going to be able to exchange all of the tribulations, everything that we carry, everything that hurts us, everything that is from this world that is temporary, and exchange for something that is eternal, that lasts forever, my brothers. And this is the invitation of the Spirit, that we can think differently, that we can be different and have a different perspective from before, from the past. And this is the real transformation, my brothers. And this is why we are here tonight, to cherish, to worship Him, to really worship. And there's no other reason for that. There's no other reason for this service here, my brothers. We are here as children. We're not here as someone who has to demand. We're not here to demand anything. You're not here to demand, to require, to inquire anything for God. But the position that you have to put yourself, the position that we need to put ourselves, is the position of a children, the position of a son, of someone that is under the authority of a father, my brothers. And if we understand that, then we're going to be able to extract what God has prepared for us. But only if you come as a children. Only if you come as someone who is dependent. Because the children depends on their father. The children depends on their father to provide food, to provide life, to provide shelter, and more importantly, to provide love, my brothers. And the problem today is that the people that go to the church, they come as the judge. They come to demand. They come to request. They come to inquire. But God says that if you don't come as the children, then you're never going to be able to extract the power that God has prepared for us. And this is the key, my brothers. How are you coming to the church? How are you looking to these moments here, to this service that we're having? What is this moment that we're having here? Is a service of adoration, is a service to worship Him. Because I know that He is my Father, that everything is located on His hands. So He's telling us to not demand, don't request anymore. Because if you go to your father, if you go to your father's birthday, if you go to someone that is important for you, to a ceremony, to someone, are you going to ask for something? Are you going to ask for your father? You go to his ceremony, you're going to ask something for him? You're going to demand something for him? Of course not. You're going to be there to give him praise. You're going to be there to give him honor. And you're going to be there because you have a relationship with him. And this is what God, He wants to build. He wants to build that relationship with us so we can really adore Him and worship Him. And this is the reason that we are here. To close our eyes, to feel the presence of God. Because this presence, when you really worship God, is when you're going to really feel His presence. And when you feel this presence, my brothers, this presence is going to be the one that is going to sustain you when you leave these doors. This presence is going to be the one that is going to sustain you when the storm comes, when the tribulation comes. So this presence is going to be your armor, your shields. But you're only going to be able to acquire and to vest yourself with that shield if you learn how to worship Him and if you learn how to adore Him. But why would I adore Him? Why would I worship? Is this based on the church that I am? Of course not. Is this based on how many people are surrounding me? Of course not. Is this based on who's preaching or the message, even the message that is being preached? Of course not. It's based on the fact that He is my real Father. He is your real Father. He is. And if He is my Father and He's calling me to His house, I need to be here and think about Him. Not about my problems. Not about the things that I want to achieve in my life. But I need to understand that if I am here, I'm not here for me. I'm here for Him, to give Him praise, my brothers. And when we have this thought pattern that is intertwined with the thought of God, that is similar to the thought of the Spirit, my brothers, then He's going to give you what you need, and He's going to provide you with His presence, with His power. And then, my brothers, this power is the power that heals, is the power that opens the doors, is the power that exalts, is the power that cures, that holds in your hands, my brothers. But in the spiritual things, there's no way that we can cut steps. This power will not come firsthand to you. It will not. This power will only reveal Himself and operate in your life step by step when you understand that you're here to worship Him, that you're here to share that relationship with Him. And then you're going to be in His presence, and that presence is the presence that changes everything. It's not the other way around, my brothers. And we can see that it's beautiful, this passage, because it shows that Jesus was there among His disciples. And then Mary came to Him at that moment with all the disciples. She picked up her ointment. It is a fragrance, something like a perfume, something that it was costly, very expensive back at the time. And she picked up and she started to put this cream, this ointment. The ointment is a cream. It's a cream. Pick up this ointment that had a fragrance. It was very costly. And she was starting to pour it out in Jesus' feet. At the point that the people, the disciples, they were scandalized because they thought with themselves, this woman is crazy. She's picking up this costly thing that is very expensive. Doing this? Why she's not selling this? Why she's not keeping it to her for profit? Why she's giving literally everything that she has and giving to this man? And then they start to say, sell this, Mary. Sell this to the poor. Keep this for you. But Jesus said, blessed is she, because she understood that it's not about her. She could pick up and sell for her. But she rather worship me. She rather worship me. And this is what we are saying, my brothers. You can come here. You can have your time. Sunday is a universal day of the church or of the Lord. You can pick up your time. You can work. You can do whatever you want to do. For example, me, I have a kind of a busy schedule tomorrow. And today I have do things to do before the midnight and everything. I could be working on that, but I decide to worship the Lord. You have your work, you have your problem, your situation, but you always have a choice. And here, Mary, she had a choice too, to pick up that and put it to her for her profit, or to worship the Lord. And she decided to worship Him, to deposit what she had in Jesus. And my brothers, this is the main point that we need to bring for ourselves. You will always have the opportunity to make a profit for you, to gain more time, to do whatever you want to do. Or you have the opportunity to worship the Lord, to dedicate a little portion, to dedicate a ratio of what you have that is important. Perhaps it's your time, perhaps it's your youth, perhaps it's something that is valuable for you. And you can deposit a fraction of that to the Lord. And we're not talking about worldly things, money, no. Talk about you, your soul, your soul. You will always have both ways to follow your life. But here, my brothers, He's showing us the way that God wants us, the path that God wants us to take. So it is a moment of reflection. This service is a worship and adoration service. And it is a moment to reflect about my life. And if I'm really behaving, if I'm really in the path that God wants me to be. Are you dedicating yourself to worship the Lord that is your Father? Or are you dedicating yourself to worship you, your life, your choices, your story? And you are the only one who can decide. No church can do anything for you. No pastor, no religion, nothing. You are the only one who will decide if you're going to deposit yourself to the Lord or to your own causes, my brothers. But God says in His Word, put my kingdom in the first place as the priority in your life, and everything else will follow. So He is not asking us to be a fanatic, to drop off with our lives and live inside of a church. Of course not. He's not asking us to memorize the entire Holy Bible. No. He's just asking us to worship Him and to have a relationship with Him, because this is the only way that you're going to be able to see the fruits and to extract the power that God has for you, my brothers. And I see a lot of people nowadays, sometimes even my relatives, my parents, hey, pray for me, do this for me, go there in the church and talk about me, whatever it is. But what is the point, my brothers? If someone prays for you, if someone loves you, and if you don't love yourself, if you don't pray for yourself, if you don't prioritize God for yourself, could be all the pastors of the world praying for you, all the churches of the world talking about you, putting your name here, and the prayers. What is going to be the point? What is going to be the point? I am the key. You are the key that opened the door of your life. You are the key, no one else. And we are the ones that have the power to change our lives and to be in communion with God. So at that moment, we need to understand that it's not on anyone's hand, in no churches, nor anyone's, nor any religion, nor anything's hand. It is in our hands. The key is in our hands. And Jesus came to make everything more simple to us. More simple to us. Not to complicate it. He said, put my kingdom in the first place, and everything else will follow. And then, my brothers, tonight we have this opportunity not only to worship Him, but to reflect and to brainstorm and see what I'm going to do when I leave this door, because the most important moment is when I leave this door. Because right here, God says, where there's two or more united in my name, I will be present. But what about when you leave this door? Are you going to remain in communion with the power, with the hope, with the one that it is, that was, and that is yet to come, that is everything? Are you going to remain in communion with your Father that can change your life, that can provide you happiness, that can take your hands in the hardest times when you're in the hardships, and also in the best of times? Are you going to be in communion with Him? This is the question, my brothers. And this is why He brings us here, not to remain here. I'm not going to leave the church. The church is always open Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we close. But what about you? What about your life when you leave this door? God does not want to make us dependent, man dependent, church dependent, religion dependent. Man dependent, not I'm saying relationship or anything. He does not want you to depend on anything or anyone. He wants you to be with His Spirit and His Spirit only, my brothers. And the real question is, the real reason why God brought you here is that when you leave this door and you go live your lives, you have your problems, you have enemies, you have the insecurity of your tomorrow. Who's going to be by your side? Your right arm, your left arm, your parent, your wife, your husband, I don't know. Who's going to be by your side? Or your real Father, God, that is the one that has the power to make you prevail. And that is why David says, even if I walk through the valley of shadow, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me, he says. Because he was there and he saw that he was young and it was just himself. Just himself. But he knew that he had God. And even though he could walk through the valley of shadow of death, that God was going to hold his hand. And tonight, my brothers, God called us to be able to say the same song, to live the same story of the song that David wrote, my brother. This is the reason. Don't be dependent on anyone. Depend on your Father, on God, because He's the one that is going to give continuation to your story. Not the one that says that loves you, not the one that has money, not the one that has range. Only God, my brothers, will give continuation for your story. And only Him knows what you're living, your situations, your emotions, your sadness, your defeats, and your victories. He knows everything. And He wants to share everything with you. But are you willing to share it with Him? And the brothers, the parishioners are the only one who can answer that question. Don't depend on something that is not by your side 24/7. Let's depend on God. Amen? A round of applause for Jesus. My brothers, it is the time of the offering. I'll ask Deacon Pierre to pass and obtain the offerings from the brother. Only if the brothers feel the desire to offer, then you can offer. And if not, please, you don't have to. It is not mandatory. It's just an opportunity that the church gives us for the brothers to contribute if desired. Amen?
Amen.
Who offers with joy